So
Good morning,
wonderful to
my
have us all
friend.
here.
How are you? Happy to see you all. Hi, Regis. Regis is always with us, even in spirit. He really is. He exudes that. Anyway, how are you, Dove?
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Myrna. Hi.
Good.
I was just looking at today's lesson 114, and I had a big aha today on this lesson. You know, it's a review of lesson 97, I am spirit.
Right.
But 98, which is not in my mind as popular as 97. 97 is the shortest lesson in the course. I'm spirit. But 98 says, what? It says, I will accept my part in God's plan for salvation. I will accept. And as you know, my favorite paragraph is, what can you not accept? What can you not accept? And I realize you can use that if you use it to reverse the idea of acceptance. So when you say, what can you not accept? And answer it, you find all the things you got to do to correct your own mind. For instance, what can you not accept as part of God's plan for salvation, that people have the right to protest and march and take people's attention away from being spirit by telling them that they got to be upset and angry and protest what's going on in another part of the world. So when I say, what can you not accept? If I can accept that, then I am actually going against the laws of God, because the law of God is we are one. And so whenever you can't accept something in this world, and there's a word for that too. It's called unacceptable. Whenever you say something is unacceptable, you're actually saying I'm the ego. Because spirit accepts always. It's only the ego that analyzes and says, no, I can't accept that. So I just wanted to say that whole idea, what can you not accept? You can use it both ways. You can say, well, I accept everything, or it's not acceptable. It's unacceptable. I can't accept it. I can't accept that the mail comes late every day. I can't accept that there's smoke in the air and I can't see the stars. I can't accept that I'm breathing bad air. I can't accept. Why not? Are you a body? Over to you, Myrna.
Yeah, I like aha moments. Was that an aha moment for you? The fact that you suddenly recognized that you.
Yes, it was an aha moment when I realized whenever I say, what can you not accept? If there's something unacceptable, that's something that's a lie.
Yeah, I like aha moments. I do. I love when I have them. The problem with aha moments sometimes is that we forget them. We have an aha moment and it brings us to truth. And then it just, the ego just obliterates it, erases it. I like those moments. And you had a miracle. When you're having an aha moment, that's what a miracle is. And they can really keep coming if we just, like you say, just focus on truth. And what could we not accept? That's a good question. You talk about protests. Well, I don't like angry protests, but peaceful protests, that's okay with me, as long as they're peaceful. If anything relates to peace, no matter what it is, you want to say your piece in a peaceful way, it's acceptable. It's the ego might reject it, but spirit accepts that analogy, the right to express yourself in any way as long as it's done in peace. So when I I always try to remember to respond that way to anything, really, to do it just peacefully, just say what I have to say and have it in that respect, have it, revealed to me that I just express myself, and I feel good about that. When we express ourselves angrily, we don't feel good about ourselves. We really don't. At least I know I don't. So, it's a nice way to really communicate. You don't have to fear anything in that respect. You talk about today's lesson. Yes, today's lesson. What brought that to mind was that, and it's been said that we're not spiritual beings having a human experience, we're humans having a spiritual experience in this world. And that's what we have to understand, recognizing that we're really spirit and we're just experiencing the humanness within us, within others. And I think we're here to just learn the difference between the two. Recognizing that we are spirit, and once we're safe in that analogy, in that feeling, in that truth, then what is there to fear? So I think it's something that we have to constantly remind ourselves of. You posted something. We are thus reminded of who we are as spirit. This remembrance comes when we accept our function of forgiveness. Yes, that's our function. And that's something we need never forget, is the need to forgive, the willingness to forgive. It is not so much the words of the lesson that are important, but the willingness to think of them throughout the day. That's Ken Wapnick. Yes, he posted that by Ken Wapnick. He gives us so many valuable thoughts to ponder and to realize, because Ken has really been as much of a gift to the Course in Miracles as Helen and Bill were. He's been really somebody that was sort of almost like the Holy Spirit, talking to us, relating to us. Yeah, I once saw Ken Wapnick in person. I heard he was going to be at the Y near where I lived, 92nd Street Y. He was going to be speaking there. And I said to my husband at the time, Charlie, I said, oh, let's go see. I want to go see, Ken Wapnick. Well, he didn't know who Ken Wapnick was. And Ken Wapnick came, but he came with a group. We were allowed to observe, but he wasn't talking about the Course in Miracles. He was talking about psychology, and the Course in Miracles was not what he was supposed to talk about. And I was so disappointed. And to this day, I'm sorry that I didn't approach him and tell him, how much I love the Course in Miracles. At the time, I was new to it. And when I heard that I could meet him personally, I was very excited, but he was very busy, and we didn't even come back after the break. There was a break, and then, we were people were coming back, and I said, no, this is not something that I came for. But I remember that. I also remember something that truly surprises me. He spoke with a very, very, with a stutter, with a pronounced stutter. And yet he doesn't do this when he's speaking to groups. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I first met him, he had the worst stutter you could ever imagine. I felt sorry for him because I'm also a stutterer, but my stuttering is kind of light. When I met him, he could sometimes take almost a minute to get one word out. And he's addressing a group on the west side of Manhattan, and I'm sitting there feeling so bad for him, mainly because I'm a stutterer. What I also want to say is, you went to the YMHA, and of course the YMHA is the Young Men's Hebrew Association. And as you was telling the story, that he didn't talk about A Course in Miracles, he was talking about psychology, which of course he does have a PhD in psychology, so he's very able to talk on that topic. But I kind of understand why he didn't bring up A Course in Miracles. Ken, coming from a very Orthodox Jewish background himself, was kind of sensitive to the fact that you don't go to the YMHA and talk about A Course in Miracles in Christian terminology, like what is a Christ? And and Jesus said this and Jesus said that. So he probably didn't allow himself to talk about A Course in Miracles out of being sensitive to the location listening to him. Back over to you.
Yes, that's possible. I never really thought about it. I just all I know is that I really wanted. At the beginning, especially when I was involved in the Course in Miracles, I couldn't get enough of it. I couldn't speak about it enough because suddenly, I think what I realized is I was jolted into a new form of recognition of the way things are. I mean, this is completely, at the time, something that I just couldn't get enough of. I think I read the Course in Miracles seriously from cover to cover, from page 1 all the way through. I did the lessons last, actually. I skipped the lessons and I did the text first, but I loved the teacher's manual. I loved it all because here was a connection to something, to Jesus. I never had a connection with Jesus, and now I was suddenly feeling as if I knew Jesus. Suddenly I felt as if this is somebody that I've known. I mean, this was all coming to me. I almost felt that I was waking up from a dream. And the Course in Miracles was presenting something to me that I believe to some degree even previously, because I always believed that the life was a dream. And I would sort of, when I would express that to somebody, they would kind of look at me cross-eyed. Life, that it's not real. Life is a dream. And the Course in Miracles, I think, was dropped into my lap through no accident. I wanted more understanding about that, about the dream. I really believe that. I just did. I said, this has to be a dream. This is not real. I mean, this is something that I felt that maybe I was sort of, that I just dreamt up, that it was something that people couldn't adhere to. And then when I picked up the Course in Miracles and saw that that's what it was all about, I couldn't get enough of that, because here I was finally getting agreement from Jesus, no less, a spiritual aspect of myself, somebody that I felt I belonged to, somebody that I easily communicated with in my own thoughts. And there again too, it wasn't easy because I had to do it in quiet, because I couldn't tell, you can't tell your friends who are Jewish that you're speaking to Jesus. I tried, but they kind of just, I realized I needed to stop that. And then when I wrote private lessons with Jesus, that was a bit of a problem too. A couple of people that were my friends were no longer my friends because of the nature of the book, or the title of the book, Private Lessons with Jesus. But I put it out there. I really didn't care. This was my belief. It was my truth. The Private Lessons with Jesus, where I had a full year communicating with Jesus and downloading a lot, was something that I felt was worthwhile to me and something that I wanted to hold on to. And I love it to this day. And I don't really care who knows about it. Private Lessons with Jesus, although I do try to explain that Jesus is not a religious icon. Jesus is a spiritual truth, a spiritual consciousness, but that he was spiritual in nature, that he didn't like religion, that he really didn't adhere to religion. But somehow I think the Jewish faith is so indoctrinated into believing, into just recoiling from the name Jesus. Go ahead.
Glorian has her hand up. Glorian?
Yeah, I'm just going to say quickly, thanks for this. And I think it's so important in that recognition. And I know for myself, and I was thinking what you said about Ken, that was probably his guidance and his inner discernment on what to say and when. And also in doing the course, it really just becomes a part of our psychological being anyway. So we may express it, but not in those words. And I know for myself personally, with Christian family and friends and Jewish friends, that I in the beginning would, not say, oh, well, Jesus said in A Course in Miracles. I would just be led on what to say based upon what they were saying in a loving way, so as not to, first of all, we're not here to frighten anybody, because to some, Christians, it's more like, oh my goodness, like, what is this that you're, new agey, like, claiming that, the I am the Christ and all that. No one wants, they don't want to accept that. And also from Jewish people, they think you've lost your mind. So, the point is that I think we all came to that recognition that we had to use that inner discernment and guidance to lead us in what to say and do. Thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you, Gloria. That was perfect. That really was. And you're right. I feel exactly the way you do, just to be discerning. I don't really preach it in any way. The Course in Miracles doesn't want that. We're not here to stand on a soapbox and preach and try to change people's minds. You can't do that. The only way you can change somebody's mind is by just believing something and just showing, exuding that whether it's love, whether it's empathy, everything falls under the umbrella of love, that is not of the ego. Empathy, love, truth, happiness, peace. And go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of pick up on this whole first of all, no religion has nothing to do with the Jewish religion. Has no religion really accepts anything from another religion. I mean, that's what religion, that's why religion divides people. Religion separates people. Christians cannot accept Jesus as Jewish ever. I mean, no one ever, he was born Jewish, and he didn't know, Jesus did not know what the word Christian meant. I mean, the original Jesus, first of all, his name was Yeshua, or Emmanuel, but his friends called him Yeshua. They didn't call him Jesus. So, basically every religion separates themselves from other religions. Well, Jesus belongs to us, the Christian people. Jesus, the biblical Jesus didn't even know what the word Christian meant, because that's something that happened 200 or 300 years later. Anyway, I wanted to kind of get back into the idea of protesting. First of all, anything that we do here in this world is really like a protest against God. It was Mother Teresa who actually said, don't invite me to a protest. If you want to have a peace rally, invite me, but don't invite me to a protest. Because the idea of protest is like the idea, I guess that's the Protestant religion is the protest of the Christian religion or the Catholic or whatever, protesting, with Martin Luther in the 16th century, protesting. So each religion that comes protests the last religion. We're better, we're more, we're different, we're not the same as you. But all of that is nothing more than symbolic of the projection onto God. I protest thou, Father, because you didn't make me special. I had to do it myself. So religion divides, and so does anything that the human psyche cannot accept. Getting back to the word acceptance. What is unacceptable, I mean, if you look at what they're really talking about, I mean, people are being arrested. I'm talking about young college students who have the IQ to know the difference. All they want to protest, what they're protesting is that the Columbia or Yale or University of Pennsylvania should divest themselves of any stock that makes Israel powerful. That's literally insanity. I mean, I want my college to sell anything that helps Israel. But that's the nature of this world. The nature of this world is insanity. I mean, the whole Course in Miracles says, first of all, A, there is no world. B, what there is insane, because what there is an idea of you or me, us or them, good and bad, right and wrong. And that's just another word for sacrifice. And as he tells you, Jesus tells you in the Course of Miracles, sacrifice remains the root of all pain, suffering, loss, even death. Actually, got someone drilling outside my window. Sacrifice remains the root of all pain, loss, suffering, starvation, poverty, and even death. What is sacrifice? It's division. It's me or you. So religion is it's pretty much one of the most obvious, us or them, good, us, and bad, them. So the idea of protesting is really the idea of separation. I don't like what you're doing. You should do it my way instead of your way. There's another lesson in the Course, lesson 268. I think that lesson goes, let all things be exactly as they are. Let all things be exactly as they are. So if the goal of this course is peace, you cannot have peace unless you allow all things, accept all things exactly as they are. That's peace. If I want to change anything, that's the ego. Son of God is changeless. The ego only wants change. Back over to you.
Yeah, you speak of sacrifice. One of the things about the Course in Miracles is that Jesus asks for no sacrifice, that we're not feeling as if we're sacrificing anything. And that's what makes me feel that the truth of it all, the Course in Miracles, I can accept that because there is no sacrifice. God doesn't ask us to sacrifice in any way. We don't have to go and pray, and we don't have to, he asks us to practice, but there's a difference, really. Practice the lessons to set our minds straight. But sacrifice sucks. Anyway, aside from that, we talk about sacrifice and insanity. I'm watching The Crown, the series The Crown. I really got into it. And you talk about insanity. I always thought that, how could you not enjoy that, be living that way? I mean, it has to be such a glamorous lifestyle. And I'm watching it, recognizing it after watching a few episodes, quite a few actually, is that I wouldn't want to change places with them for anything. I mean, it's a very lonely existence, because if you're not really in the center, if you're not in the center of the royal family, then you're really nothing. And so many people are just brushed aside. And now one of the series is focusing on Princess Margaret, how terribly lonely she was, and she only wanted to be given more responsibility, and nothing was working out with any of her love relationships. Just like us, it doesn't matter that we think it's glamorous and they have all the money in the world. I mean, to really lavish themselves with, it really doesn't bring happiness. You see that. And I was talking about this yesterday with Susan. Princess Diana was a loving soul. She really was. And, she came into this marriage with Charles very naive, very young. She was about 18 years old. And how she really came to understand that there was conflict, and she created so much conflict with the royal family because the people loved her. The people wanted her. They wanted to see more of her. And her husband was being drowned out, aside from the fact that he was having an affair with someone else. I mean, that didn't certainly help because she was in love with him. And so that sort of really gave her the impetus to to fight back as well, as much as she could, really. And she just refused to go on tour without her child. And Charles tells her, why not? What do you mean we're not going on tour without our child? I never traveled on tour with my mother. My mother, the queen, left me alone for 5 months, as if that was normal. But she refused that. She just insisted. And when the crowd saw, the motherly instinct, the love she had, she had a natural ability to connect with crowds. Because what came out was her essence. That's who she was, and she was unleashing that. But it was being, she was being quieted. At least they were trying to quiet her, and so that led to a lot of problems. But sometimes we think, that there's something better on the other side. Sometimes we think that something else looks better than what we have, but nothing at all is better. What could be better than being at peace? And that's what makes me understand that to strive for peace is really the greatest thing we can strive for, because to feel um, of it. What's the word? I'm trying to express something. To feel anything other than love. What is it? It's like you say, it's the various different emotions that get in the way, that are ego emotions, that don't serve us, and that takes the peace away from us. And, so it's to get back into that understanding that that's really all there is that we want. When I'm having a thought that's not giving me peace, suddenly a thought will enter my mind, and I've learned to recognize it right on, to get my peace back. That's all I want, is I want the peace. I don't want to have to feel this way. I don't like that feeling. Or if I should wake up in the middle of the night with from some kind of a fearful dream, I'll say an affirmation. I am not a body, I am free, for I'm still as God created me. And that fear goes away, with taking our mind away from the nonsense, the ego. That's just an illusion anyway. So anyway, I turn it back to you, Doug.
Okay, yeah. I have another aha that I want to share.
Okay.
Uh, Actually, you kind of reminded me of it. Like you said, whenever you want to do anything for love, somehow something always comes up and it doesn't work out. Sunday night, I do a group with Laurie Colburn and Teresa, who teaches me, comes to the group, and I don't know who else that you might know, but anyway, we were going over the section called I Need You Nothing. And even though I read that section 100 times before, I saw something I never saw before. One of my original reasons for making the course my exclusive path is that not only did I come to that lesson 189, paragraph 7, that said, forget this world, forget this course. And I said, wow, no ego could have written that. So I said, this course is for me. But it also said, this course will save you time. It could save you as much as 1,000 years the way you count time. I forgot about that. That basically anything that can save 1,000 years, why do you need anything else? why would I want to use some other path that takes much longer? So I said, okay, this course is for me. But when we were reading the section called I Need Do Nothing, he says this course will save you time because you really need do nothing. If you do anything, if you go anywhere, if you practice anything, if you meditate, if you contemplate, you're using the body. And I am not a body. I am not a body. So your willingness to not do anything, but to remain as God created you, which is changeless, that's the love you're looking for. The love you're looking for is who you are. I need do nothing to remember God. I need do nothing to be loved. I need do nothing to wake up. I need do nothing, literally. And that's a huge aha. I'm just going to read what he says here on this.
What lesson did you say, 189?
What?
What are you reading from? 180.
Yeah, read paragraphs 5 and 6. Go ahead.
From what? No, I want to know.
189,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, 180. I thought it was okay, 189. I said it.
No,
Okay.
it's not less than
I
180.
didn't know what you said, 186 or 189. Okay.
389.
Okay, I got it. Go ahead.
This is page 389 in the textbook.
Yeah, I have 359. 189 is I feel the love of God within me now. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh,
It's talking about I need do nothing in the course.
maybe,
Okay.
maybe you want to read it first, Myrna, because I have people drilling out here.
Yeah, I have to, okay. What exactly? I'm on lesson 189. Is that not what we're talking about or?
It's not the workbook, it's the textbook.
Oh, okay. I thought you said less. Okay, so that's page of the
It's page 389.
389. Okay, I'm turning to that. Okay, 389. I need do nothing. And which would you like me to focus on?
Paragraph 5 and 6.
5 and 6. Okay. Your way will be different, not in purpose, but in means. A holy relationship is a means of saving time. One instant spent together with your brother restores the universe to both of you. You are prepared. Now you need but to remember that you need do nothing. It would be far more profitable now merely to concentrate on this than to consider what you should do. When peace comes at last to those who wrestle with temptation and fight against the giving in to sin, when the light comes at last into the mind given to contemplation, or when the goal is finally achieved by anyone, it always comes with just one happy realization: I need do nothing. I mean, I think about that, I need do nothing. And that means I need do nothing to just be happy. That's really all I want. And that's all God wants us to be anyway. And you realize that time means nothing when you think about it. One instant with a brother can really speak, 1,000 years, I suppose. One instant that you can gain in recognition with a brother of the truth and have that love connection is really what we're expected to do. And how do we do it? We do it by doing nothing, just letting it happen, just letting it unfold, to be natural, to be untethered by the ego, the problems that the ego constantly throws our way. I mean, that's really the whole problem with everything. It's the problem with the entire world. It's ego. I was listening to Rob Schwartz, and I like to listen to him talk. And he had mentioned that in Nazi Germany, there was a whole sphere of negativity and negative vibration. The vibrations were so negative that it was just pulling in more of the same, more of the negativity, because that was what the vibration was. So when people get together and collectively not know the truth, only think of, you know, the terrible straits that the world is in, that they've created. It's simply by thinking, it's simply by getting into that that trap, really. Anyway, so he used that as an example. I thought that was interesting, that when, you know, if you can create so much love with just one brother in one instant, then, you know, think of what could happen on a collective level, you know, when you get masses of people thinking light, love, and so forth. And in fact, that's where the age of the heart comes in, that we're at that, supposedly at that crossroad right now, and that we're experiencing, or we're really bringing in a lot of light. And I like to think that, I like to believe that and feel it, which I do, because I believe it. Anyway, I turn it back to you, Doug.
Okay, yeah. I actually recognize a few things happen when you do nothing. First of all, to do anything requires judgment. You can't do anything unless you're judging, well, okay, this is what I'm going to do now. So you're planning for the future. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to quiet my mind. So all of those things are judgments. All of those things are judgments. I need do nothing means that the body is not involved at all, because only the body does. We're not human doings, do. We're human beings. So I need do nothing. I can be what I am, which is changeless. Now, you can take one brother, someone who for some reason either doesn't love you, doesn't recognize you, or maybe someone that you don't like or upsets you. And you take that one brother, and instead of doing a forgiveness process, as Ken Wapnick says, the easiest way to go from your wrong mind to your right mind is to look at your wrong mind without judgment. As soon as you can look at things without judgment, you're in your right mind. It's the judgment that hurts it, that crucifies it. So I need do nothing allows me to take that brother who, for some reason, I don't understand, he doesn't love me. I find it hard to be around him because, after all, it's upsetting that someone doesn't acknowledge me. So what's going on? Maybe I'm not acknowledging myself. How is it that I'm not acknowledging myself? I must be judging myself. If I'm judging myself, there's got to be somebody in my movie, in my dream, who is the person that represents the judgment. So when I need do nothing, I'm looking at my brother. I'm not looking at his body anymore. I'm just recognizing that I have a brother who I have not recognized either. He doesn't speak of Christ to me. I haven't spoken of Christ to him. So I'm looking at him without judgment. If you can look at a brother without judgment, that's a holy instant. In that holy instant, your mind stands still. Your mind is still because you're not expecting something. You're not looking for a reaction. You're not looking for anything. I just am. I am. Let all things be. I need do nothing. And that's what I want to share as my second aha. And I want to mention one other thing. I noticed that Glorian says she'll be here tonight for IW. Not sure what IW is, but I guess it's our 7:00 meeting. And I realized tonight is second night Passover. I'm invited to my children's place for celebrating the Passover. So I won't be here tonight.
The same with me. I'm going to my daughter tonight to celebrate Passover. So you see that? So we both kind of,
And I have one more thing to add. I
yeah.
found something that Happy likes that I think he'll always like. Believe it or not, he likes matzah.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
likes matzah. Okay, that's good.
He's a
Yeah.
Jewish dog. I love it.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
man.
He would have been very happy in the desert with Moses, really, you know. That's funny, really. That's adorable. Yeah, animals are just amazing, aren't they? I think about my Rusty sometimes. You know, Rusty passed away about 6 to 8 weeks ago. I had him for 17 years. And I have to tell you that little guy, I mean, you know, there was a part of me that felt that I was restrained because of him. You know, you've got to worry about when to be home, and you got to worry about when, you know, when to feed them. And when you want to go away, it's you want to find place to leave them that they'll be happy, or they're never really happy without their owner, no matter where you leave them. I got to tell you, you know, I'm kind of free of that, but at the same time, I very often think about him, and I tell you what I miss. I miss his sweet, warm fur that I used to kiss all the time. I was always kissing him. You know, it was so comforting. There was something so comforting about him, you know. So maybe, you know, we did say, yeah, it was a sacrifice. That was a sacrifice for him, because I only wanted him to be happy, and I sacrificed, you know, my own travels at times because I wanted, you know, I just wouldn't leave Rusty just anywhere. And not only that, but he was so smart. You know, when he passed away, and I put that post on Facebook, and an old babysitter, you know, answered. Her name was Barbara McWalter. I'll never forget it. When I used to go to New York, I would leave Rusty with Barbara, and you know, and she, you know, she was a good woman, but she would tell me that the whole time that I was gone, that he would just be looking for me. She said, I never saw anything like it. He was just so, you know, intent on just looking for me. She said, and in fact, what she posted was, in fact, when you were coming home, I would, you know, she would pack his things up. She said, I had to do it, you know, behind his back without him knowing, because if he saw me packing up his things and he knew that you were coming to get him, you know, then you know, he drove her crazy. I mean, that's really, he become obsessed. Anyway, so I can understand what it is. I know that you've had Happy for you know, quite a while. But you know, like anything else, they get old and they get sick, and but I was with him right till the very, very end. So I'm happy about that. And now people ask me, are you going to get another dog? And I say, no, that's it, I'm done. So I turn it back to you, Dove.
Okay. I'm peaceful. I have nothing to say, truly. I have nothing to say. I'm going to put up one of the quotes from the course, chapter 22. There's nothing so blinding as the perception of form. For the sight of form means understanding has been obscured. So if I think of my brother and I see him in form, like in body, I cannot understand that minds are joined. So the understanding that if I think of my brother and see him as a body, I see him as guilty, because bodies are the belief in separation. And of course, if I see him as guilty, I'm guilty, but projection makes perception. So that was one of the things that Ken Wapnick used a lot. Don't confuse form with content, or don't confuse symbol with source. Same thing. So whenever you're confusing form with content, you are forgetting the content. The content is union, it's oneness, it's equality. My brother, I and my brother are one. That whole thing that we have up in the ACM gathering room, in the banner for over 10 years now is every encounter is a holy encounter. So this is not only for one brother, like the one you don't like, it's for all must be included equally for you to remember God. Because if you deny even one brother, you cannot enter into your Father's presence, because your Father's presence demands wholeness or equality. And as Karen always reminds us by her tagline, which she gets from the Course in Miracles, only equals enjoy peace. So if you can't see your brother as equal to you, you can't really achieve the goal of this course. The goal of this course is peace. And peace is the only content that gives you a free ticket, get out of jail free ticket home to heaven. Heaven has two conditions. One is you cannot enter heaven unless you have a peace of mind. Oh, it's Prudence calling me. I'll turn this mic back over to you. Myrna.
Okay, talk about peace. Yes. And you also put something on the post, nothing so blinding as perception of form. Sight of form means understanding has been obscured. And yes, I know that I'm advancing in my studies with A Course in Miracles because I'm far less judgmental than I've ever been. When I say less judgmental, I shouldn't be judgmental at all. And maybe I'm not. And maybe I'm really not. I can't think of anybody that I've really been judging, even people that I would have in the past. I don't feel that anymore. So yes, I think that does bring you to the understanding that you are as God created you, with no judge. If you can really start to experience that, judgment is something that that's the ego's best play, is to judge. And that's what happens when we start to confuse form with spirit, when we start to look at a form and judge it and form our opinions about it, and our sight, it's true, because when we start to really focus on just the form, we don't really see what's beyond it. We don't see the spirit beyond it. We don't see the beauty beyond it. We don't see the connection between us and them when we're judging. Sometimes I kind of judge somebody when they're really not very nice, when they're not nice, and that's something that you need to get past. You can always get past the bodily forms if somebody it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't if you connect and you feel love. But when you are when you're judging somebody because you don't like their attitude, you're really not seeing the person either. So for me, it's harder to really get past that, when somebody I feel is injuring somebody else in some way, I tend to. So I guess I'm not 100% home free. I turn it back to you, Dove.
Okay, hold on. Hold yeah, thank you for stepping in. By the way, the last time you and I were together, I got a call from Kenneth Wapnick. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember, I got a call from Kenneth, and I said, Kenneth, and you said Kenneth has come back, and it turned out to be, it was Kenneth Wapnick's website organization, which is called FACIM, Foundation for A Course in Miracles, and their caller ID says Kenneth Wapnick on it.
Oh, my God. Well, you know what? I would look at it as an omen. I really would. I would think that Ken Wapnick is really trying to get in touch with me. That's how I would see it. And I would absolutely really, I would see it that way. To me, that's a miracle.
Yeah.
We talk about him. Why shouldn't he step in? Why shouldn't he? You know, you're his greatest advocate. Why shouldn't he acknowledge you? So,
I got to speak to a friend of mine, Jeff, at the bookstore, because it was Jeff at the bookstore who was calling me. And anyway, he really wanted prudence. I guess all this reminded me of what happened 1 week ago when I got a phone call from Kenneth Wapnick. Anyway,
mm,
Karen's in the room and she reminds us only equals are at peace because equals don't judge. Yeah, you can't judge yourself. You can judge others. That's why we have others well, I guess you can judge yourself. But if someone is me, why would I be judging him as bad? All egos think of themselves as good. At least my ego thinks myself as good. So equals don't judge each other. But the word in the course is union. Truth is union. We are united. United means one. I put on the board one of my all-time favorite lessons, lesson 198, which Jesus himself says this lesson is the whole course all by itself. One lesson is the whole course. He says that about the last 20 lessons in part one, from 181 to 200. So this is 198, and I put it up in the chat. I also put it in the room, and it says, only my judgment, only my condemnation injures me. Only my own forgiveness sets me free. And then he has two of the most powerful sentences back to back in the course. In that lesson, it says, do not forget today, there can be no form of suffering that fails to hide an unforgiving thought, nor can there be a form of pain forgiveness cannot heal. So when I judge anybody, I'm remembering the guilt in me, because projection makes perception. So whenever I'm judging, and in this world, we are always judging bodies. I don't like the way he looks. I wish he was dressing better. I wish he combs his hair different. I wish he washed his face. I wish he washed his hands. I wish he used something for his breath. I wish. So we're always judging other people, and the judgment locks the guilt into us, because if I judge another, I'm believing in separation. Guilt is the belief in separation, and guilt demands punishment. So I will suffer and be punished, which is why lesson 198 says, do not forget today, there can be no form of pain or suffering that fails to hide an unforgiving thought, nor can there be a form of pain forgiveness cannot heal. Really? Wow. And all I got to do is stop judging. That's all you got to do is stop judging. Now, how can you stop judging if you think of your brother as a body? You can't. If you see your brother as a body, you're going to be judging. He's too tall, he's too short, he's too fat, he's too this, he's too that. Oh, no. I'm Goldilocks. He's just right. He's Mr. Right or Miss Right. What happened to all your other brothers and sisters? You're not including them as Mr. Right and Miss Right? If you leave even one brother out, sorry, Charlie, you can't enter your father's presence. Sorry. If you deny one brother his perfect oneness with you, you have left yourself out of heaven. Back over to you.
yeah, judgment is a very big thing. It's so easy to judge other people and easy to judge ourselves. You know, we judge ourselves as well. I'm too this, I'm too that, I'm too small, I'm fat, I'm too thin, or whatever it is. I'm not pretty enough, I'm not old, I'm not young enough, I'm not this enough, and that, whatever. And that is what when I think about that, To me, that's the last to go. I can forgive other people faster than I can forgive myself. I mean, I've learned to forgive myself. There was a time I used to have a very big issue with that. And forgiving myself, all those guilt moments would pile up and pile up, and, rather than knowing how to release it, they would just pile up. And so now, when I'm doing it, I realize that I'm doing it, and either I stop or I don't. I don't know. I always have to look. I have to always look my best. You know that even when I'm home by myself and I'm spending the whole day at home, I still do everything I do every day. That's I get dressed, I fix my hair, I put on my makeup. I just have to feel that I look pretty to myself all the time. But that doesn't make me unhappy. I really doesn't. If anything, I kind of enjoy that. I enjoy looking at myself in the mirror and feeling good about myself. Am I judging myself? What am I doing really? When you think about it. Um, uh, that's me. That's just who I am. I don't condemn it. It shouldn't, be the most important thing in my life, and it's not. But at the same time, it's up there. It does take precedence. So I turn it back to you, Dove.
Yeah, whatever you do for yourself is always perfect.
Mm.
You never have to worry about what others think. Like Reverend Terry Cole Whitaker wrote a book. What other people think of me is none of my business. So, so whatever you do is always perfect, and you never have to worry about what other people think. What other people think is really what they're thinking about themselves. As
Right.
it says, no matter who I'm thinking about, no matter who I'm talking about, I'm always speaking about myself. So if someone says you shouldn't do that, they're talking about themselves, So you never have to worry. Always be exactly the way they are. That's part of that lesson 268. Let all things be. I will accept all things exactly as they are. It's in your beingness that the peace of God comes to you. Certainly not in your doingness, but only you can judge it. And by the way, you always look good, which is obvious that you always look good. So I
But
mean,
like you just said something very important, accept ourselves for who we are. That's all it takes, really, no matter what it is. You know, um, if I can't accept myself, then I am judging myself. So no matter how we are, if we accept ourselves, and then we eliminate the judgment, which is very painful. I think self-judgment is painful, don't you?
Regis had his hand up. He also says, when you look good, you feel good. Regis,
Oh
go ahead.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Dove.
Thank you, Regis.
I had my hand up for a while. Y'all said
Oh,
so
I
many
didn't
good.
see you. I
Y'all
don't.
had y'all
Yeah,
had so many. Y'all said so many good things since I first put my hand up. Now I'm
I
going to
want to
comment on
hear
about
you.
4 different things.
I didn't see
But
your hand. If I saw that hand raised, believe me, I would have been delighted.
oh yeah.
Tell me
So
what's on your mind.
well, Myrna, you really have struck some chords with me this day.
Yeah,
So
tell me.
one of the things that stood out, it wasn't the first thing, but one of the things that stood out that's also tying right back into what you're saying about grooming yourself on a daily basis, even for yourself. But when you spoke to Dove about the Kenneth Wapnick call and how you would have taken it and you were taking it as a sign and blah, 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 it came to me immediately when the Course of Miracles says, have you considered how many times or opportunities you had to gladden yourself and you didn't? And so what I like about what you said was that you take every opportunity to gladden yourself. We sit around waiting on something external to
Mm.
make us feel good. But the Course in Miracles says, have you considered how many opportunities you had to gladden yourself and you passed it up? And then when you talk about grooming and beauty, I like to look good too. I like to put on my ties and dress shirts and people, even when I was in a work environment where we could dress casual like I am today, I would walk in with a suit and tie on a lot of times, or with a tie and shirt on. And the thing is, it's not, I see what you're doing as we are the face of God.
Mhm.
And you have the power to create beauty. When I dress myself, I see it as just creating beauty. I had opportunity to, they say, go outside, look at nature, look at this, look at that, but you can create beauty right in your own home every day just by getting in the mirror and doing the things that you like to do to yourself.
Can
And,
I ask you a
and
question?
yeah.
Will you marry me? Go ahead.
Yes and yes. And so, yeah, but it's just, you, so when you look good, you feel good, you're creating beauty. You are, that's the gift, the extension of God. God is a creator, so we're creators. And so it's not always coming from a place of low self-esteem or lack of being able to identify the true you, but it's just coming from a place of the appreciation of the Christ that's within, and knowing that I can pass by the mirror and look at like I looked in the mirror one day and said, man, you look good. And sometimes I tell my wife, I said, I look great today. So it's just, but it's taking the opportunity to gladden yourself. When you see beauty, it raises your vibration. It raises your mood. So you look, you go by the mirror and you see yourself and you're like, wow, look at me. Yeah. So you're taking that opportunity to gladden yourself. You're not waiting to be invited to a party. You're not waiting to be invited to a special dinner. It's just that opportunity that in the coming of wholeness, that you're never lack. You're never lacking. You're never needing anything outside of your own self or power.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what time it is. I'm just
I'm
talking.
just going to say something to you that what I see in you is that you appreciate beauty, and therefore, when you are out there, you see beauty everywhere because that's who you are, and you appreciate what really looks beautiful, to you. I think it's wonderful.
Myrna, a lady told me that one time we sat side by side at work, and she was thumbing through this magazine, and every page that she turned to, I said, oh, that looked good. And she turned to another page. I said, oh, that's hot. She turned to another page. I said, oh, I liked it. She said, Regis, everything looked good to you. I said, but yeah, there is beauty. Even when we think we're seeing differences, it doesn't have to mean that one thing is lacking and another is more, but there's
Yes, what
beauty in
you
everything.
like too is that you like to see people strive for beauty too,
Yeah.
and so that's really what I get with you, which is great.
All right. Well, thank you, Myrna, Dove, Regis, everyone who's joined us, Glorian, who was here a little bit. What a wonderful